Hey everyone, it's me. Hope you're all doing well, feeling swell, feeling blessed no matter where you are. So, if you clicked on this video, we're going to talk about something really important. Now, in these last weeks, and I would say for most of this last years, I keep getting brought up against one thought, one idea, one question a lot by people almost my entire life. And I want to speak to this because I have a lot of understanding when it comes to this idea, or when it comes to knowledge behind the answer to this. So a lot of persons always ask me, what is my purpose? And a lot of people say to me, like, how are you so confident in what you're doing? And how are you so confident in your purpose? And as someone who, let's say, was on the wagon before, then fell off the wagon and then got back on, I have a lot of understanding of what it means to lose or to fall, or to be on both sides of that coin. So a lot of persons ask me, how do you know what you're doing is right? Or how do you know what your purpose is? And I can let you guys understand this clearly for myself. It's going to be story time with Ashley. The purpose that I have in this life is to do one thing: to turn on and bring about souls to their greatest self. And the reason being is because in my life, I was never afforded that, but I do know it's one of my greatest gifts, that for some reason, I was always able to see the lighter side of things, no matter how dark the situation. And I was always able to see that silver lining, and no matter the darkest of days or the darkest of people. And I can truly say that that was always my purpose. Now, I didn't understand that growing up. I didn't understand that when I lost sight of God. And I didn't understand why God even gave me a chance again. But in these last years, I truly understand what has taken shape and what takes shape for all of you. Now, a lot of you might say, what is God? What is the purpose? What is it all? And it's funny because I actually saw a really good example of this. I have a different one for my own personal understanding, but I'm going to use this one because I think it's a really good one. So you see here, we got a glove, right? It's just an ordinary glove. Now, this glove is made in the likeness of a hand, right? And I saw someone describe this and I thought it was so eloquent and beautiful. I kind of scrolled past her and I wish I kept her name. So if anybody has heard of this woman who put this up, I have a different analogy to go along with it, but I hope this helps you guys. Until someone puts their hand in the glove, right? The glove kind of like on its own, right, doesn't have a purpose. It's still called a glove, right? But it's only until a hand, what it's likened to, what it's shaped for, goes into it, that it finds its true purpose. Much like this, that's how we are. We're the children of God. We are the gloves, let's say, of God. We are all in the likeness of God. So therefore, when God is within us, we find our purpose. Much like a hand fits into a glove and gives it purpose. So a lot of persons out there always have to do this equation where they put God up here, priests, any type of figureheads above this. And it makes humans feel comfortable to put platitudes between themselves and God, because we're taught from a very young age that we're supposed to separate. We're supposed to separate. We're supposed to separate. But I want to explain this again, that this glove was made for a hand. We were made for God. We are made in the likeness of God. Therefore, we are the eyes of God. When God says, I am that I am, that speaks true to all of us. Not because that is the best saying to describe something of such greatness, but it's very eloquent in the sense that, much like I were to say, hey, I'm Ashley, right? But who is Ashley? Can I describe who I am? Can I give you all the labels that I am? Yes, but does it describe in its wholehearted sense who I am truly? I can only say this to you, much like anyone else. Ashley is who she is. I am who I am. I have very many facets, very many makings, very many parts of a working body and parts of a working soul. But I could never describe to you in totality who I am. Just like you could never describe in totality who you are. You just are who you are. So much like this, God always describes herself as I am that I am, because there's too much to describe, too many labels, too many fixtures, too many things, associations one could think of. but it never does justice to the entirety of what it is. It never gives entirety to what the I am is, except for when we speak it forth in our own right. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when people ask me, what is my purpose? I truly say to you that your purpose is to walk into the likeness of God. God is not a man on a cloud. God is you. You are God. We are all facets walking around. We're all gloves waiting for that hand, okay? Or my analogy was a balloon, right? A balloon in the same way is still called a balloon until the breath of life breathes into the balloon and then it fulfills itself. And then it is seen as its purpose to be blown up into a blown up balloon. And you might think that this is childlike in nature, but much like how I describe this is as easy as it is. Because when you walk into your essence, your godly essence, who you truly are, all that you are, and you walk forth with God, not a man on a cloud, but all that is you, you walk into your purpose. My purpose in life is to be a cheerleader, to be a higher self channeler, to do many more things, because God fashioned me in a way that I have many skills that will grow, skills that will change, evolve. But ultimately, my goal, when I die, when I no longer cease to be in this body, when I hit those pearly gates, I want to say that I did the best I could at the performance of what God made me to be. And that's all I can bring. That's all you can bring. Now, a lot of people talk about the chosens, right? All of these names. But really, there are some of us that come into this existence having some kind of understanding or remembrance of past lives or remembrance of our soul imprint on ourselves. Maybe a little more than others. But the difference is that even if millions are illuminated, there are billions of God's children here. How many of us actually listen? And I'll give you guys my equation to how this works, because some of you are parents. Most of you are children to parents. Some of you may not have had parents, but you can understand this in its totality, I hope. As you're growing up, your parents know you better than anything. You see your child grow up and you know all of your child's aptitudes. You know all of your child's faults. You know everything your child could become. And as parents try their best, they try to shape you and guide you into a profession or a walk of life, or use your aptitudes to the best of their known abilities to hope that you liken to those abilities. And a lot of people don't understand is that all parents want to do is help that child be all that it can be. Now, here's the kicker. Much like God and God's children, all of us, we have freedom of choice. No matter how much our parents tell us to do something, we can decide to go along with it or we cannot. Now, how many of us know as we get older and we have that foresight or we become parents ourselves, that we truly understand what our parents were trying to tell us? Because now we're doing it to our own kids. All we do is love our kids so deeply, so dearly. And all we want is the best for our kids, whatever we think and shape in our own minds. But this equation is the same. God truly just wants the best for us, wants us to step into our potential, whatever that may be. My potential is different than your potential. Your gifts are different than my gifts. And the thing is that God endowed us all with gifts, every single last one of us. How far we take those gifts, how bright we shine with our own light is up to us. And some of us have more light than others, just like some of us are geniuses and some have high IQs and some of us don't. But it doesn't mean that we all don't have a piece of this puzzle to contribute in this world. So when people ask me, what is my purpose? That is something distinctly known by you and God. Because when you walked into utero, you and God shaped a plan, a life plan that is specific to you. Only your life would shape these traits. Only your life would teach you these lessons. And only you could truly know what type of messages you've been receiving your whole life. Like, for example, I can only speak to myself. Since I was a kid, like I said, I loved ancient history. I loved esoteric things. I would read about them while I went to Catholic school. I loved Yeshua so deeply that I used to read everything about him. And the thing is that I always knew deep down in my heart that something about the way my mind worked, the way my philosophical brain would work, always opened me up to new ideas. And the reason why I've never let all the darkness ever shroud me and keep me down is because of the faith that I always had since I was a kid. And that is my gift. And I never let that gift slip away. No matter how much I went slumming, no matter how much I fell off the wagon, I still kept that gift intact no matter what. And all of us have these gifts, different, unique, but unique to our own path, unique to our own purpose. We are all hands that fit into gloves, but different colored gloves and different ways of being. So when somebody says to me, what is my life purpose? All I truly ask from you as the individual is to take a moment and just listen. Take the steps that scare you. Because all of us that decided to hear and heed a call, right? They keep talking about these words. But really what it is, and all of you know what it is all the things that terrify you. Because what it asks of you is to step out of what is normal. Step out of what the confines of this illusion put forth in front of you. You know, a lot of people either show hatred or are, spewing negativity all the time. And I say this as someone who has walked this path for some time. I don't fear the hate. And the reason why the hate exists is because of fear. And I know the reason why the fear exists is because if I and others should show that a life worth living can be done through the heart, can be done through the methods outside of the confines of the box that they see themselves, then if we succeed, you must change. And that's where the fear stems from. And that is it, and that is alone. Because the thing is, all of us grew up as children with huge imaginations, huge dreams. And somewhere along that line, that dream got shattered. And somewhere you need to ask yourself, what was that dream? What is it that I'm good at? What is it that I need to take hold of? What makes me seemingly look ridiculous, but I love deep down inside? That is the essence of God within you. Find that, and you find your purpose. I love helping people rise. I love helping people come to their own, grow within their own selves, be their best self. That is my drive in life. I get high when I see people come back to me and tell me what you told me helped me, or what you did showed me the way, or what you did inspired me. And I don't do it for any glorification other than the glorification of my mother and father. Just like a child who wants to do the best they can. Because for so many years, like I said, when I was on the other side, I knew that I was on the wrong side. And then when I came back and I felt that inspiration again, and I felt myself, because that's the thing that people seem to miss. When people think that you doing your best is selfish, that is the true lie that you're told from the beginning. That's why the separation of priests and hierarchy begins, because they tell you that you and God are separate. But that's the lie. You and God are one. You and God are always one. And when you see that for yourself and you realize that you're in conjunction and adjoined and, the child of God, you are the glove waiting for God's inspiration to animate you. You step into that path that is designed for you, that you designed. And that's when you realize you're in your purpose. Your purpose doesn't have to have a monetary figure attached to it. Your purpose doesn't have to have some glorification of a PhD, etc. Your purpose could just be tying back into your best attributes. So let's say you're one of the kindest people that does well with elderly people, and you make elderly people happy before they die. That's a purpose, because no one can do that like you. Maybe you're great with children and you make children laugh, or you're great with autistic kids and you can reach them on a level that no one else can. That is your purpose. No one else can do that like you. Maybe you're the best mechanic. Maybe you're going to create more with the way your mechanical mind works. No one can do that like you. And to put yourself into cookie cutter dispositions your entire life because of fear. You only set the fear ablaze because you are scared to see what you can become. To act like it is not threatening or scary is really the denial. Because when you walk into your purpose, it should be the most terrifying thing you ever do. Because you realize that it's just you out there. It's you and God, but you realize it's just you. And you might get persecuted and you might have those come and turn on you. But you realize that if you're in your truest self and you're in your purpose and you love it and nothing makes you feel more alive, then all those things don't matter. So I just wanted to see that and bring these, impressions of life that all of us can understand, because there's so much out there that tries to separate us. The church tries to put us in a place saying that that's the only place you can find God, or a book that says if you read this, you'll find God, or with a guru, or with a priest, or with a pope, or with a this, or with a that. But it's all taking away from what God endowed all of us from the get-go, which is the union between the union. That's all it is. It has never been taken away. It's always been with you since the beginning. Whenever you're at your worst, who do you cry to? It's not crazy then, right? So why is it that you have to be at the lowest point to understand where the highest part of yourself comes from? And when you do get yourself out of that jam or that situation, you forget about it. But who got you out of it? Now, we could say it's God, or was it you? God in you got you out of that jam because you reached for that greatness within yourself. It's not to glorify the self. What it is glorifying God within you. Being the animated hand in the glove. I hope that makes sense, because so many of my brothers and sisters out there are teetering on the brink of greatness. I still am striving for all the greatness I can potentially be in this life. But I will say this, is that the more we reach within to know all the parts of that we are, of the I am that I am. I can't change. That's why when you meet a lot of elderly people, they've kind of got it by that point. You know what I mean? They're very okay with death. They understand all the facets of who they are. They know the parts that cannot change. They know the parts they want to change. They know the parts that cannot be moved or shaped any further or any more. And it's not just because of a bodily thing. It's because they know who they are. They've had the time. But we all know who we are. We knew who we were when we were children. We had no problem explaining and expelling and exalting all that we were. And then as the world shaped us, we lost sight of it. And as people and reflections told us we weren't who we were, we believed them. We didn't take hold of our godly essence within and say, you know what, I am this. You know what, I can do that. You know what, I am this great at this, and I'm going to pursue it. That's one thing that slipped away. And if this is the only message I can bring to any of you right now, is that God within you is waiting for you. Will eternally be waiting until you knock on that door and say, hey, I want to take a leap of faith. I want to take a chance on myself. I want to do what's right. I want to do the right thing with my given gifts. I want to be the gift to the world that I am. So please don't deny those around you or the world of the gift that you are, which is the I am that I am. Because, like I said, I can only be who I am. You can only be who you are. So be the best you that you are. And you'll notice that what your destiny is and what your actual ordained path is in this life all starts to make sense because you just took that first step. That's the message for today. If you want to know what it is you are to do on this planet, what it is that you are to do for the rest of your life, find what it is that you are. Find what it is that makes your heart sing and follow it. And I guarantee that God will be waiting there with you. Bye for now.